So welcome everyone again to Rockland Centers for Spiritual Living. I am Reb Melissa. So our theme for 2025 is rooted in oneness, living as principle. And our theme for January is rooted and living. And every time I say that, I say it like with a little attitude. Like I even go like this, rooted and living. A little gangster with it. So January serves as our foundation of fundamentals. I like to think of it as a science of mind love camp instead of a boot camp, because we are refreshing ourselves with the first 4 chapters of the Science of Mind text. And we started that process last Sunday with the first chapter, The Thing Itself. So I want to share my screen just to go over a really quick recap of the first chapter. The thing itself is us, right? The thing itself, us. So quickly, the 5 fundamentals from that first chapter are the thing itself, the science of mind. So if we call the thing itself by our name, that would be true, because for the thing itself is us. Number 2, the thing itself doesn't play favorites. So universal principles are never respecters of persons. So there is no favorites. All of us are chosen. Number 3, fundamental principle of one mind. So we know that there are not 2 minds, but 2 names. The names are objective or conscious mind, which is the self-knowing mind, and the subjective or subconscious mind, which always says yes. 4, all thoughts are creative. So it is the pattern of our thoughts that create the mold in our subconscious mind. So we need to be aware of our trending thoughts. And number 5, it is fundamental that we understand that the root of the creative process is not mysterious. It's not a secret, and it's not magic. It is simply the law and the love. The love points the way, and the law makes the way possible. So Ernest Holmes writes in the 2nd chapter of the Science of Mind text, the way it works. And we know the way it works is through us. And Chris invited us in her meditation to try it on, right? To get cozy in it. And Ricky invites us to pour ourselves in it as it pours itself in us. So Ernest Holmes says this in the 2nd chapter. The thing then works for us by working through us and is us always. It cannot work for us in any other way. It spreads itself over the whole universe and shouts at us from every angle, but it can become power to us only when we recognize its power. We cannot recognize that it is while we are believing it is not. It is entirely a question of our own receptivity. It is a question of our own receptivity. And the Spirit can make no gift that we do not accept. Have you ever tried to give a gift to somebody and they didn't want it? What do you do with that? They won't accept the gift. God's Spirit, well, I have a typo. God's Spirit always has a gift for us. Are we willing to accept the gift? Are we willing to accept the gift? So today's message is an invitation. It is an invitation for us to accept the gift that the way it works is through us. So I have a question for you. I'm going to have a lot of questions today. Let me just tell you right now. So you might want to write down these questions and you could use them later on for your inspirational journaling. But it's something to contemplate on. Are you receptive to the way it works? Are you receptive to the way it works? Are you? Are you receptive to the way it works? How does God's spirit universe work? It works through us. It works through us. It works through me. It works through you. It's simply a question, as Ernest Holmes said, it's simply a question of our own receptivity. So I found this book when I was doing some cleaning, and it's by Ernest Holmes and Alberta Smith. It's called Questions and Answers on the Science of Mind. It's a really good book. And it's basically the two of them answering about 300 questions that people have asked over the years when Alberta Smith was working at Science of Mind. And she was the columnist who did the questions and answers. And so they put that all in this book. And so one of the questions that someone asked was this: how may our spiritual receptivity increase? How may our spiritual receptivity be increased? So when I asked that question, how receptive are you? Someone might have said, a little bit, I'm a little bit receptive, or sometimes I'm receptive and sometimes I'm not. This was their answer to this question. We can increase our receptivity through definitely saying and feeling the truth that there is that in me which knows, understands, accepts, believes, recognizes, and embodies. I know and I know that I know. I believe and am conscious that I believe. I am confident of the power of my own word. I have implicit reliance upon the truth. I expect the truth to operate. This truth that I know is made manifest in my experience. Thus, we gradually become more and more conscious of divine presence, power, and law responding to our word. I know that I know that I know. Are there any witnesses to that? I know that I know. All right now, One. I know that I know that I know. So let me ask this question. What are you being receptive to in your life? What are you being receptive? What is the pattern of your receptivity? We talk about the pattern of our thinking. What's the pattern of your receptivity? So we know from last Sunday that the thing itself is us. And today we are reminded that the way it works is through us, because we know that we are the individualization of the universal. And I know everyone, if you haven't, I will be surprised, has heard God can only do for us what God can do through us, right? It's all a matter of degrees. It's all a matter of degrees. In the 30-day mental diet, we started the 30-day mental diet class last week. And one of the things that Willis Kinnear says is that the possibility of using the larger potential, which is within you, depends on the degree to which you become aware of it and consciously use it, the degree to which you become aware and consciously use it. It's not enough to just be aware. Many people say, yes, I'm aware. I'm aware. And what you doing with that awareness, right? We consciously use what we are aware of by directing our action. So here's another question. To what degree are you aware of the thing itself? To what degree do you consciously use it to direct your life? To what degree do you consciously use it, capital I, capital T, to direct your life? So I want to use this sphere as a prompt. When we ask the question, to what degree do you consciously use it? To what degree do you direct it? What is your level, your pattern of receptivity? Receptive, unreceptive. Aware, unaware. Conscious, unconscious. Directing and focus, unfocused, scattered, willy-nilly, inconsistent. All of those things look like this. Nothing can get in. What can get in? How long would it take to get in? But when we're like this, when we're open, we are available. This is available. This is unavailable. This is present to this right now moment. This is absent. You're in the past or you're in the future. Accept, open. Reject, close. Owning the power that we have indwelling within us, using it and directing it looks like this, open. Complaining, closed. Binging, closed. Not keeping our words to ourselves, closed. Clutter, closed. No matter what, open. No matter what life brings, no matter what happens, I know, even if I don't know it right now, I know this is for my highest good. I know that there is something here for me to learn, for me to discover or recover about myself. When I feel like it, closed. When I feel like exercising, when I feel like doing my spiritual practice, here's one that I tell myself. When I feel like going to bed on time and getting sufficient rest, what I'm really doing when I don't do those things is I'm closing myself to the flow. I'm making it more difficult for the flow to come through. And this is what inconsistency looks like. This is inconsistency. It's like playing hide and seek. We make it more difficult. The practice is in the opening. The practice is in the knowing. The practice is in the owning. The practice is in the receptivity. I'm going to share my screen one more time. Did that visual help? Good. And you can use it in your mind when you're trying to make a decision. Is it going to result in this or this? How am I being with myself? Like this or like this? So now we have a visual that we can use. So Ernest Holmes says this: we should work not with anxiety, but with expectancy, not by coercion, but with conviction, not through compulsion, but in a state of conscious recognition and receptivity. We do not have to drive or push, and I would add struggle or hustle, but we must accept and believe. We should then leave everything to the law, expecting a full and complete proof of our faith. We shall not be chagrined, for the law is our faithful servant. The law is obedient. It says yes. It says yes. What are you telling it to say yes to? How are you being receptive to the yes that the law is gifting to us all the time? Are you accepting it or are you rejecting it? Are you believing that you're not worthy of the gift, that you're not enough? Let us know now again that that is not the truth of who you are, because you are the thing itself. And the thing itself works through you. So we're going to continue rooting ourselves in our spiritual practice of spiritual mind treatment. Our spiritual mind treatment, affirmative prayer, is a way in which we can practice receptivity. It is a way that we can exercise being open so that the flow is flowing unhindered. Now, it still may be slow, right? Because God has the how and God has the when. But we want to be receptive to when that when shows up. That when might show up and we like this. And then we want to know what happened. So we get to use our spiritual mind treatment to ground and root ourselves in the truth of the thing itself. We get to know again and again and again that we are the individualized expressions of spirit, of God. So next Sunday, when I ask how y'all doing with your spiritual practice this month, a spiritual mind treatment, where are you going to be with that? How receptive are you going to be to doing what is yours to do? Consciously using and directing your consciousness. So We know that it cannot come through. The thing itself cannot come through if we are not faithful in the knowingness. And we know that the degree of our receptivity must be 100%. And when we become aware that it's not, because stuff happens, right? We fall down, we get up, we get in our feelings, stuff comes up for healing. We become aware and we consciously use it, the power that is indwelling within us, to direct it. To direct it. So we're going to end with the reading from 365 Science of Mind with Rev Donna Marie. And that is going to ground our message today. Thank you all so very much. Peace and blessings.
Peace and blessings to all. Thank you, Rev Melissa. That was beautiful. That was so timely. Oh man, I have work to do. So I'm reading from 365 Science of Mind, January 11th, and page 16. The impersonal law of personal good. All power is given unto me in heaven and in earth. Matthew 28, verse 18. It is interesting to note that while Jesus said that all power was given to him in heaven and earth, at another time, he said that he of himself could do nothing. This sounds like a contradiction until we understand the subtly, I was trying to pronounce that earlier, excuse me, of its meaning. Jesus realized that there is but one power and one presence, and he knew that we all live in his presence and by his power. He also knew that when he surrendered himself to the presence, that is, when he thought the thoughts of God after him, then the power would automatically respond to him. Therefore, in surrendering himself to the presence of good, he commanded the law of good. This is fundamental to our whole concept of what we believe and the way we use it. For we use the law of good, which of itself is entirely impersonal and independent of us, like all other laws of nature. Responding to the presence of love, we use the law of good. This is what meditation, affirmation, and prayer mean. I am now dependent on the power that is greater than I am and upon the law of good that is available right here and now. I identify my life with the presence and power and the love of God. I recognize the divine presence within and around me and in all people. If there is anything in me that denies this presence of this power, I loose it and let it go. I surrender myself to the complete conviction that everything necessary for my well-being, for my physical, mental, and spiritual self-expression is now operating in, through, and around me. I know that everything I do will prosper. I know that the one life, which is God, is my life now. Now. Therefore, I accept this gift of life and love for myself and for all people. Ashe, thank you for allowing me to read that today.
You're very
Peace and
welcome.
blessings.
Peace and blessings, Ashe, and so it is. Amen. Now, the way that Rev Donna Marie read that, you felt it. So when we say our spiritual practice, our spiritual mind treatments, our affirmative prayer, it is with the conviction. We feel it. Yes? And that last paragraph, Rev Donna Marie, it gets me too, girl. Ooh, that gets me. If there is anything in me that denies this presence or this power, I lose it and let it go. Yes. Lose it and let it go. Don't go finding it again. Release and let it go. Amen. 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 Thank you, Rev Donna Marie.